Okay, so I just started recording. So it is 7:10 p.m. Let's start the meeting. Welcome to the April 9th, 2025 meeting of the Ann Arbor Public Art Commission meeting. Normally we conduct the meeting electronically and broadcast it live on CTN, but we have some technical difficulties tonight, so we will go ahead and skip that part. So I'll go straight to the roll call. Vice Chair Buford, absent. Commissioner, is it Grier? Okay. Councilmember Harrison,
Yes.
absent. Oh, did I hear Councilmember Harrison?
No, that was me, Sophie Grier.
Oh, okay. Commissioner Fuller.
Present in Chelsea.
Thank you. Commissioner Kotarski.
Present in Ann Arbor.
Commissioner Neal. She's absent. Commissioner Porter.
Present in Cleveland.
Commissioner, is it Thiefels?
Correct. Present in Grass Lake.
Okay. And Commissioner Weir Leonard. Absent. And Chair Zhang mentioned she would be here at around 7:15 or 7:30. Okay, so we have a quorum. And someone from CTN is emailing me. I'm going to reply to that really quickly. Okay, next is approval of agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
So moved.
Okay, can I get a second?
Second.
Okay. And approval, if everyone got a minute to take a look at the December meeting minutes, I know that was a while ago. Were there any changes to the minutes? Can I get a motion to approve? Okay, and a second. Okay, Commissioner Porter, thank you.
Should these motions be voted on, Aaron?
Oh, yes, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed to the minutes? Okay. And sorry, back to approval of agenda. All approve? Okay, thank
Aye.
you. Thank you. Okay, we will skip public comment for now. CTN might join us in a little bit. So we can move along to commission business. I'll go ahead and share my agenda. So you all are following along with me. Can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So I watched the December meeting and it looks like you guys kind of briefly discussed the meetings for 2025. I just wanted to confirm now that we have a quorum that these are going to work for folks. So looks like you guys meet bi-monthly. So the next would be June 4th, August 6th, October 1st, and December 3rd.
I think that works.
That works.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes, same.
So every 2 months, is that it?
I was going to ask about that. Does that work for you all?
Is that what bi-monthly means?
Yes, every other month.
Every other month.
To my mind, it's not often enough, and we kind of lose momentum. And what with that and not meeting in person, I think it's creating discohesion, if there's such a word.
Would monthly be preferred?
I mean, we could skip like some month in summer or something like that, or even if it's like 10 months a year, it would be better than 6 times a year.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I think. I don't know what everyone else thinks.
Could I agree with Sophie in terms of, yeah, my experience was that the Art Commission was meeting monthly. Uh, The challenge is do we have something to meet about monthly? If it's just to meet monthly, I don't know if that makes sense, that we just, we do nothing, we just meet and we have. So, I would like there to be enough business for us to meet monthly. Um, and I think that I like the way that Aaron has kind of taken charge of the meeting as well as got us all together. And so if if Aaron can fill up our agenda with something to meet, it could be presentations from other folks could come in and talk to us about what they're thinking or whatever. It could be a variety of other things, but if we have no business, I don't think it really requires a meeting. That's my thoughts.
Any other thoughts?
Commissioner Fuller?
I was thinking
Um,
that perhaps like Sophie said, with people traveling and stuff during the summer, maybe for the summer months, like a June and an August meeting, but then monthly, the rest of the time. And even if we meet and we don't do the whole 2 hours, I think coming together, even if it's a short meeting, an hour meeting, would give some consistency to the commission.
Mhm.
I also think we have certain things due at certain points of the year, right? So the December meeting is our planning meeting for the next year, so we can put together the annual plan, and then we have the annual report, which I think is typically due right in July. So it might make sense to meet in July additionally. I know that's a time when a lot of people are traveling, but a few of these meetings are for specific purposes. If we could label those as such, those might be, meetings that have more weight, more things on the docket. I do agree that even if it's a short meeting, it makes sense to touch base more frequently. And it gives the public, right, more chances to voice their opinions and to come to us with ideas. So I like that idea, but I do think a few of these meetings we might want to label as specific types of meetings where we're getting specific type of work done.
You know which months are, do you have suggestions on 2 months that we could eliminate if we went 10 times out of the year? July is when I travel, at least at the beginning of the month when our meeting would be.
And maybe January? I don't know.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. New Year and July. What is the report due in July, Sarah?
I don't know. I just know July. I don't know if
Okay.
there's a
End of
specific
the
date, but
fiscal
I know,
year.
right, that's the fiscal, because it's July, June fiscal year.
Perhaps we could be super efficient, haha, and get that ready for June and then take
Yeah.
July off.
No, that's a
I
good
don't know
point,
about all
Sophie.
of
Why not?
that.
I
don't
mean,
know
we
about
do have a lot of,
In September, so we have to, the report is due for the fiscal year, the previous fiscal year, that's due by, I think, September something. In other words, I think there's 60 days after the end of the fiscal year. But then the plan is the first of the year. So we have a report on what we did the previous year, and then we have a plan on what we're going to do for the next year. And those reporting dates, I think, are in the ordinance somewhere. And I just want to throw in that I would prefer 1-hour meetings for me. In fact, I'm going to have to leave here at 8 o'clock. But so I would prefer really tight, compact, everything's, attached to the agenda. I've read it, everyone's prepared, and I have my opinions. I come, I offer them, we vote, end of story, done. Within an hour, we get everything we needed to get done. That would be my preference, but of course,
I think that can work in most situations, but when we have public comment, sometimes those comments and then our feedback to the commenters can go any length of time. I mean, we've all witnessed that. But I think that could be a goal, John, for sure.
yeah, we don't need to shorten any of the public comments, but our response to it can be close. We don't, we just, I would prefer it. I would prefer 60 minutes and
More frequent and shorter.
yeah, and as
Okay.
long as there's something to discuss. And I agree that the summer months when people are traveling would be infrequent. But a lot of the discussion could be done in work groups. They don't need,
Yeah.
they meet. And then we just trust
Mhm.
the work groups, and the work group presents something, and they have a draft presentation and they send it around to us. So we have an understanding of what they're doing. So all the real work is done in the work group, I would think. And that's how I would imagine it. And they can take as long as they want. They can take an afternoon to do it. But when we get together to meet, I'd like it. That's how I would prefer it. But I want to be chair. One of you guys are going to be chair. So it's going to take a lot out of the chair, the vice chair, and Aaron to
Okay.
really tighten it up. But I would prefer it that way.
Commissioner Grier?
Yeah, I was going to say that it seems like when we don't have anything to discuss, meetings are short. So it's nice to have room for if there's a lot going on, but also just to be able to finish when we finished. I don't think we have to stay if we finish discussing stuff. And if commissioners keep their contributions really tight, then there's no reason why it should go on forever, really.
Then I might suggest we just go ahead and schedule monthly, and we can always cancel as long as it's 48 hours in advance of the monthly meeting. Sounds like we know for sure the first week of January is going to be tough for people, so we can automatically cancel that one. I'm guessing the July 4th week is probably problematic for people as well, but I might suggest going ahead and schedule the monthly meetings, and then it's easier to cancel than to schedule new meetings.
I think that's a great idea.
I propose that we go ahead and schedule monthly meetings. I move that we schedule monthly meetings, and then we can cancel if there's no reason to hold the meeting that month, or if people can't make it. Any seconders?
Okay, yeah, thank you. Any second? Commissioner Fuller? All in favor, say aye. Okay, any opposed? Okay, great. I will make that change. So the next meeting will be May, first Wednesday in May. Okay, great. Moving along to officer elections. I'll pull up the leadership survey results summary. Okay. And is there somebody that can kind of speak to this that's on the call?
Can you make it larger?
Yes. I believe this came from Commissioner Neal, but she's absent today. So it sounds like it walks through the qualities of a good chair and vice chair. And it nominates Commissioner Thiefels for chair and Commissioner Fuller for vice chair.
Aaron,
Do
I
you
can
two?
a little bit to
Yeah. Okay,
how
please.
this-
Yes, I'm struggling. Go ahead.
how this got started.
Okay.
That uh, we thought that rather than just anybody submitting their names at the meeting, that we could survey the commissioners and ask them exactly these questions. And I had been doing this for several years. And I think Mary or someone else took it over and sent these questions out, and everyone was encouraged to submit. And so there's a summary. I'm not sure who collected and submitted the summary, but it seemed to be good practice, and it has been good practice for the Art Commission to do this annually for several years. And therefore, the person that collected it, in the past, it had been me, and I would assemble all of these comments and synthesize it into, and it just, things seem to surface that a willingness of someone, everyone thinks they're an excellent choice for chair, and everyone thinks they're an excellent choice for vice chair. And I would reach out to those individuals and say, look, you really are asked to take the lead. Are you willing to? And they'd say yes. And so this document was presented to the Art Commission, and then I would put in, I would open the nominations, and I would myself nominate the individual that came out from this document. And then others could nominate themselves or nominate anybody else. It'd be an open nomination, and then there would be a vote on it, and then that person that was elected chair, there would be a vote for the vice chair, and those two people would then go on and be our vice chair and chair. So that's how it had been in the past, but that doesn't mean this is a good way to do it now. I just wanted to give you the history of it.
And Allison organized this effort this year using a format that John had built and sent it out to us via email. And so she was responsible for gathering all of our survey questions and reminding us to fill out the survey. And I think she did a great job putting this all together. So how we move forward in terms of voting, I'm not sure if we want to mirror that from the past. I think the document is pretty clear at this point, unless, of course, anyone would like to nominate themselves.
Well, I think that we should open the nominations, and then I will nominate Mary Thiefels for chair. And if there's a second to her nomination, she will be nominated. And then, are there anybody else that wants to be nominated? And so I can do that and model for everyone if that's okay with everyone. So I nominate Mary. Is there a second for her to be chair? Marinetta seconded the nomination. So Mary Thiefels is one of our nominees. Are there any other nominations for chair? I see no other nominations. So I'll close the nominations for chair, and we'll have a vote. It usually is a secret ballot, but I don't know how we can be secret about it. So that all those in favor of Mary Thiefels being our next chair, raise your hand. It's unanimous. Mary is our next chair. Let me continue the nominations for vice chair and Sarah Fuller. I move to nominate Sarah Fuller for vice chair. Is there a second? Mary Thiefels seconds Sarah Fuller. So Sarah is a candidate. Are there any other nominations for vice chair of the Public Art Commission? Seeing none, I close the nominations. All those in favor of Sarah Fuller for vice chair of the Art Commission signify by raising your hand. It's unanimous. Sarah is our new vice chair, so Mary Thiefels and Sarah, congratulations.
High five, Sarah.
I just have a question, one question. How often do the chair and vice chair
Annually,
serve?
annually.
Is it a 2-year
The
or 1
ordinance-
year?
1 year it serves, and they can only serve for 3 years consecutively. That's in the ordinance. And the term
Okay.
runs from January 1st to December 31st. So we've been without a chair in effect by the ordinance for several months. So we need to elect them in December for that next month if we're going to take January off, or we need to not take January off, or we need to change the ordinance. So I recommend we elect them in December at the December meeting, and their office it'll take office in January. So these chair and vice chair, they will be up for re-election next year, and we will do the same survey in the fall, sometime in November, and the survey will be presented at the December meeting, and we'll go through that election then. That's what I propose, to be consistent with the ordinance.
That sounds like a plan.
Great. Well, congratulations on your new roles.
Congrats.
Thank you, everybody.
So fix everything, both of you ladies.
Okay. Here we
So
go.
on the Environmental Commission, I have a planning meeting a couple weeks, about 3 weeks in advance of the meeting to kind of plan out the agenda. And I can touch base with you both later if that's something that would be helpful. For the upcoming
Yes.
meeting. Okay.
Yes, thank you, Erin, for sure. It would also be good to find out, who's in what work group. I know that Jamal had sent something to Vanita maybe a month or two ago. I'm not sure
Okay.
if any of that has changed, but maybe we just get a refresh on the working groups
Mhm.
and who's in them so that
I agree. That would be
no, yeah.
great clarification, because I think we attempted to do that a few times this year with our planning meeting, but I think it would be good to clarify.
Mhm.
Great. Do we have any room for more officers at this time, or are we at our maximum?
You mean members, commissioners?
Commissioners, yes.
Aaron?
There was one person that I need to go back and look at my records. One person I believe will be not re-upping their term, which expires at the end of May. So that will be an opening. And then I had a question for you all. I noticed there was a person on one of the emails that was sent to Vanita. but I wasn't sure if they were a commission or not. I have a slightly outdated roster.
Was their
Um,
name Tim? I didn't recognize that name.
There was is it Shivam Singh? And are they a commissioner?
Yeah, Shivam was not a commissioner. He was a
Right.
volunteer, but I think it wasn't what he was expecting, so he really dropped out.
Okay. Okay. Perfect.
Also, I think we weren't doing anything very much, we were rather disorganized, so he dropped out anyway.
Okay. Okay.
Sorry, Shivam.
So there will definitely be one opening, and then I was still waiting on a response from another commissioner about if they will be re-upping their term at the end of May. So potentially 2 openings for members.
Thank you, Erin.
Yeah.
I have a question about that. At what point do you have to know one way or the other whether I, for example, would continue as a commissioner? Do you need to know so that other commissioners can be solicited, or how does it work?
We usually start reaching out to folks in March, and then we try to get answers by end of March. So we're a little past that at this point. So at this point, I would say as soon as possible. And I can check with the clerk's office because sometimes they have applications just in the queue. I think it's just
Yeah.
like a rolling application.
Mhm.
So I don't know how many we have, if any. I can check with the clerk's office.
Great.
And typically, I think it's sort of like up to the commission, like how you guys want to like review those and select them. But on the environmental commission, the chair and the vice chair kind of take the first pass of the applications, and they'll sometimes reach out to the applicants and kind of talk to them. And then the council liaisons ultimately kind of make that recommendation. So if we want to kind of mirror that, Mary and Sarah, if you kind of wanted to have the first review of those applications, we could do that.
That'd be great.
Great. Okay, moving along. Anything else on that?
Yeah, me again.
Yeah.
I just wanted to ask, I mean, we were talking about the December meeting and how that's when elections or should take place. Also, that's when the plan should be put together. We used to have a retreat where we had a non-public meeting and we could discuss everything and figure it all out, which was in person. And I don't know if, even if we can't have other meetings in person, which is a shame to my view, if we could have that meeting or that retreat in person, that would, I think, be quite useful. So I don't know what everyone else thinks about that.
Yeah,
support that.
we are allowed to have meetings in person, just throwing it out there. If that's of
Specifically December retreat, but I mean others as well, if
okay.
possible.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we can meet without the public being involved, though, Sophie. If we meet,
That's true.
it has to be open to the public. It has to be announced. Has to be so. We can discuss informally in kind of a work session, but so even though we met and it was an extended period of time and the conversations were held, there were people that attended from the public. And what we were doing is making a plan. So we were meeting and having an election. Well, we would meet and have a plan, and I think we would elect it in January. But everyone wants to take January off, and I'm all in favor of that. So as long as the ordinance requires a new chair to their term to start January 1st. So we have to have something in place for that. And the plan is due to city council, and Aaron would know when that is, but it's soon after, I think, the first of the year you know, and that's the plan going forward. And the report from the previous fiscal year is due 60 days after the end of the fiscal year, I think. And Aaron can check. It's in our ordinance, so there's some specific dates, and I think Sarah was accurate. We should really identify those so we're all aware of that. Um, and you know, this plan, it's going to be important. The plan's going to be important, and so is the report. These are the two documents that the council reviews, and they review them and compare them with other commissioners. So we should show that we're really doing something and that we have ideas to do something. And that's the opportunity we have to do that. So a lot of images, a lot of, you know, comments from resident, you know, we make it as flashy as we can, which is going to take some effort and some time. But and again, talk is cheap. It's nice to say we should do something real flashy, but these ladies are going to have to do it, you know. So I'm only saying that as a high bar, you know, and whatever.
I can say that the plan by February 1st, according to our bylaws, the plan detailing potential projects and desirable goals for the next fiscal year is due. So we're a little late on that. And I'd have to look again for the annual report about what date that we committed to. Oh, you're right, within 60 days after the end of each fiscal year.
So the fiscal year ends, I think, the end of June.
June 30th, yeah.
June 30th. So June, July, August. So it's due by September the 1st. And there's a particular meeting then in September. And all of these, you know, we're not the only group that's submitting, you know, these reports. So, you know, we don't want to be noticeably absent. You know, we want to be kind of in the groove with everyone else, and the council, you know, gets them, and it's an attachment to their agenda, and they go through those reports. And ideally, our rep on the council, you know, should have something that she can or he can brag about. That's what I think we hope for, we want. So that's the ideal.
So far, we have not created a plan for 2025. Is that what I'm hearing?
No, I thought Fern put something together and
I thought so. Or was that the report from 2024?
I think that was the report.
Okay.
So those planning meetings, which, you know, we had some technical difficulties during that time. I think, you know, we did some planning, but not everything, particularly with working groups. So I think if our next meeting is in May, and I know we're late at this point, but I think that should be designated as a planning meeting where we know what's going to go on the agenda is discussing working groups,
Okay.
discussing goals, and that is really the meat of that agenda.
Okay.
So that we can kind of summarize that, Mary and myself with Aaron, and put that together as an annual report.
Mm-hmm.
And we're in a transition between Aaron and Vanita, so we can just say that, you know, sorry, you know, we're getting new staff in, and you know, or you know, all that kind of thing, you know. But you know, I think all is not lost.
Not at all.
I should also
Just
say,
beginning.
so I'll be the kind of interim staff, because they will be hiring for Vanita's position. And I don't know if that's been officially posted yet, but they are trying to move pretty quickly on that. I don't know if we'll have someone by May, so I might also be the May staff person. But yes, we are
Okay.
moving to fill that position.
Keep us posted, Aaron.
Okay, yeah, we'll do.
I have a question about the report, or the plan rather, which is that I read our what's the name of it? The thing which says what we're supposed to and allowed to do, what we're required to do. What's the name of that document? Anyway, the ordinance says that
The bylaws.
the bylaws that the Public Art Commission should be doing, and I could not understand it. Was trying to find out whether we are supposed to, or are permitted to, or neither, to initiate projects. And it isn't clear to me at all. So does anybody know?
I can speak a little bit to that, and it's been purposefully obscure, as you have noticed, Sophie, that some commissions wanted to do everything, and they wanted, you know, and some council members wanted to narrow it. So it was
Perhaps it would be good to get somebody in the legal department or whatever department does these things to clarify it, because it had some language which just was impenetrable to me. And I mean, think I'm literate, but I couldn't understand it. So it left me wondering,
promote
because I
art.
feel like if we could initiate things, even if we only initiated one thing a year or two things a year, it would certainly draw attention to the commission for one thing, and be something we certainly could brag about, hopefully, if we did a reasonable job of it.
There's nothing in the ordinance that uses the word initiate.
No,
It's
I never realized
promote,
that.
advise, this kind of thing. We can fundraise, but it doesn't, and there's nothing in the ordinance that says that, you know, we are the official whatever, and we don't. But if you can frame an initiation around any of those, but I think
Well, I can cut and paste the language perhaps and share it with everybody and see if anybody can make head or tail out of it. But it would be nice to get clarification from an official person who, you know, knows what it's supposed to be saying.
I think if Allison were here, she could speak very clearly to this. And maybe Sarah, you have some, but Allison and I have been talking about the interest that we have on the foundation. We have about 5,000, and we do have a match donation. So it is possible that we could be spearheading a $10,000 public art project every year, if that is the kind of capital. So this is something that will be in my charge as chair, is to investigate this and move that forward if it is possible.
That would be very exciting.
So I do have the plan and goals as the last agenda item. So we can come back to that and at least form a little strategy around next steps. But I did want to get through a couple other things real quick. So from the December meeting, I know you guys discussed the annual report and I think made some edits in real time. And I just wanted to confirm that this is the final version, and that everybody had a chance to review and kind of finalize the 2024 annual report.
Erin, to the best of my knowledge, I believe so.
Okay.
That we have all made edits. We all had this as a Google Drive document that we were able to make. If you have the most updated version, I don't know, but I did go in and edit and add things, and I'm sure other commissioners did as well.
Okay, perfect. Since we now have a quorum that we didn't have in December, can I get a motion to approve the 2024 annual report? Okay, so Commissioner Porter, thank you. Second. Commissioner Grier, thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, approved. Thank you. And then next on the list, I know we're missing Allison, but I did have the CIP recommendations. So I can pull that up and we can have a discussion.
I just want to let everyone know I'm going to have to leave in 10 minutes. So if you need me to fulfill a quorum, you can continue as long as no one asks for a quorum call without a quorum, but as long as you have a quorum to start.
Yeah, so I worked with Allison and our former Commissioner David Esau. I always say it wrong. And so we met and discussed some ideas for CPA. This is what we gathered. And we're ready to submit this as long as everyone has been able to review the document, and we can vote on that and put it in front of council sooner rather than later.
Great.
I did have one recommendation from staff about the U of M, the recommendation for U of M to fund art. They thought it might be better to kind of pull that out separately. And they kind of use the example of you could say something like the Art Commission requests that the City Council direct the administrator to engage with the University of Michigan in a discussion of art opportunities in coordination with, X and Y projects. Here, because there were a couple of those, I think.
Right, specific to crosswalk recommendations. I think.
Yeah,
Y-
yeah.
Erin, could you send that language to me and we could update the document to make sure that it includes, that language when
Okay.
we're talking about that type of recommendation. I appreciate that feedback.
Okay. So we could do a motion to approve with the edits that we discussed, if we want to move this forward, if that works for folks. Okay, can I get a motion to approve? Okay,
And I second it.
okay. All in favor?
Nice work. Aye.
Okay,
Good work, Sarah and Allison and David. I'm on that committee, but I wasn't invited to the meeting. I think it was an accident, but thank you all
Sorry
for your hard work.
This is a very important way we can initiate artwork. The CPIs, it's huge, and depending
Agreed.
on how we, how we can promote those ideas that, maybe going forward, we cannot just submit this, but we could ask for a follow-up, and what do you think? We could be advocates for each of those particular projects, and I think that would be huge. And they come with their own budgets.
Fong join us. Okay, she's coming in. Great. Okay, good timing because I'll pull up the 2025 plan and goals. This is, just to be clear, this is very draft at this point. Hi, Fong, can you hear us?
Yes.
Okay, great, welcome.
Hmm.
So Fong, I don't know if you're able to see, I just pulled up the 2024-2025 plan and goals that you had, the version that you had sent. I don't know if you want to kind of
Yeah.
speak to what's been done or what is underway.
Yeah, this should be for because it's already 2025. We probably have to keep up. Yeah, rather than saying 2024. It's already 2025 to 2026, I think.
Okay, so this was the draft for the 2024 plan and goals. I'm understanding. Okay. So I was thinking we could use this time to figure out kind of next steps. And I did notice there was a section for working groups, and I thought we could start there, or if folks have another idea about where you'd like to start, or who typically works, who has worked on this in the past, or who is working on it now.
I think that this kind of serves as what we would work on in that planning meeting, where we determine who is going to be on certain working groups and identify goals for, right, the upcoming fiscal year, which would end in June of 2026, correct?
June of
Correct.
2025.
Sorry?
The fiscal year would end in June of 2025.
Right, for this past year,
This
which
fiscal
we're
year.
coming up on. Um, so, we'd
This is the plan for, it's due in
until the end of
February of
June.
2025. Right?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Can somebody clarify? I have not seen this document. Was it?
I have not seen it either, but right, the 2025 date that this would be a planning document for would end then in June.
So this
They
document,
overlap. The fiscal year and the plan overlap. It's crazy. So the plan goes from January 1st to December 31st. The fiscal year report goes from June 30th until the following June 30th.
Okay, so we're going off of calendar year and fiscal year with these documents.
Two separate, the plan goes off of calendar year. The report goes off of fiscal year. It's crazy, I know. It doesn't make sense. How can you plan something that is, it's crazy.
so how do we change that?
There is no changing. The city has that. The city has their reports
Uh-huh, okay.
at the end of the fiscal year, and in every single commission, it inserts, you must report 60 days after the fiscal year. And then they have the plan every calendar year. You must report, by February 1st every calendar year. And we've been challenged doing that, but we just do it. So it's an overlap. Some of our plan will happen in this fiscal year, and it'll happen in next fiscal year. And the
Okay, so
fiscal
then this plan, right, is for all of 2025.
correct.
Okay, so then that's great. So then we have more time in the May meeting to review this document. Maybe have some more commissioners present as well, so that we can talk about those working groups and have some time to send out emails to people saying that this will act as the working group meeting or planning meeting where we're talking about working groups and we're talking about goals.
Except this was due February 1st. So we're 2 months behind.
Correct.
So we don't really have a lot of time. I mean, I'm not suggesting anything other than that. You know,
Yeah.
it's an overdue document. We can explain it by saying we've had crazy staff and all that. We can blame it on Aaron, you know, and then, but we get one blame, you know. So, but just
I'll
know
take it.
that, yeah, that
It wasn't when I started this out last year, we were mostly on the annual report. And then Vanita says, yeah, we could delay. Like you said, it will be for February this year. So that's why we haven't submitted. And I was putting in a lot of information that was from Allison the previous year. So most of the information except the working groups is new. Most of the information are the same. So we have never talked about this plan, right? But we started out, remember the police officer was in, but that one wasn't added. So I was also late in that meeting, so I haven't. I think Mary Seafolds knows a little more about, because you are part of the artist, right? You want to, get the commission, right? Whatever, to work with.
That is the fire department you're speaking of. The
Yeah.
fire department, they are working with the Ann Arbor Art Center, is my understanding. I don't think that the Public Art Commission is at all involved anymore.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's
We did our
all
job,
I
which
knew.
was advising.
Mhm.
Am I
Yeah,
correct,
so
Sarah?
because
Is that
Vanita,
right?
Yeah,
right, Vanita
that-
has been retired, so we have been trying to find the best time to work on this plan. So that's why we have been late.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I hate to
Yeah.
interrupt, but I'm going to have to leave. I've got another commitment. I'm so sorry.
Thank you,
I-
John.
Thank you. I really, congratulations to both you, Mary and Sarah. And really, you did yeoman's work, Young, that trying to get all this stuff together. I love the report that and it was spectacular, much better than I ever thought could happen. And the plan, it's not your fault. We were disorganized. So sorry I have to leave, everyone. I will see you next
In
month
May.
in May.
May.
Sounds good. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Um,
Is it possible that this document could be sent
Yeah, it
around to
was in the
everyone?
folder. Did you know there's a joint, like a shared Google Doc?
No.
The
No.
annual report and annual plan, there are two folders. When
Okay.
Allison shared with me, I just put it in. I can share with
Oh,
you.
you
all.
added it to
Yes.
the
Yeah,
folder that had.
I added, yeah.
Ah, okay.
It was
not-
there, yeah.
I was looking for it everywhere because I saw it initially and I thought, well, I'll look at it properly. And I couldn't find it again. So yeah, that'd be great.
Mm. And I didn't know how much you talked about the new chair, or because Jamal wasn't here either. I was telling Aaron that I might have some changes, but I'm not so sure about it. So have you talked about that? So that's why I haven't even updated my availability. So what is the situation now? Aaron, can you share
yeah,
what you
we
just know?
did walk through the officer election. So we have now Chair Thiefels and Vice Chair Fuller will be kind of the
Okay.
new
Sure.
leadership.
Okay.
And yeah, thank you so much for your year as chair. We really
Sure.
appreciate it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Fong.
Yeah.
Okay. Excellent. Yeah,
Thank you,
because
Fong.
I wasn't able to keep up this year for sure.
You did great. You did really great.
You're trying to get, because Vanita.
No, I mean,
tried out.
it's an impossible situation. Yeah, it's great. You did great.
Thank you so much.
Mm.
So I thought, well, I guess I had two thoughts on this, the goals for next year. I'm wondering if it makes sense to just assign the working groups with coming up with the goals. So each of the working group comes up with one or two of their kind of high priority goals, and then that's our kind of plan.
Uh-huh,
I
that
don't-
makes sense.
I'm happy. Yeah, I don't know what has worked in the past, but just looking at the number of, there are a lot of work groups that might make sense as an or to consider.
Erin, will you
Um,
share this document back out, even if it is, I just looked through my Google Drive trying to find, I
Yeah,
will,
so, and
I
if you want to go to the agenda, actually, it's linked in there. It should
is
take
it?
you right to
Oh, then we're
the
good. Okay.
document. Yeah. You might have to download it, but it's a Word document.
Go where?
So yeah, if you click on, yeah, if you open the agenda and then you go down to the last discussion item, if you click on this highlighted hyperlink, it should take you to the 2025 plan and goals.
The agenda shows a bunch of attachments and drafts. You said there's links in the agenda?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Let's see. Does that work? Oh, and then it links to the City of Ann Arbor. Okay, I see it.
Yeah, so it'll
Got
take
it.
you.
Got it.
Yep. Yep. Okay.
Excellent.
see.
Maybe just share the agenda and show where to click, because it's the
Yeah.
number underneath the,
Yeah, sure.
yeah, just,
Oh, right.
we're not
I
used to
forgot when
that
I share
kind of.
screen, it actually isn't sharing my screen, it's sharing the actual document, so it doesn't actually change when I change my screen. All right, so yeah, if you go to the agenda, here's the top of the agenda. If you scroll down, we're down towards the bottom of the agenda under the 2025 plan and goals. If you click on this link,
Oh,
Makes sense.
it'll
Yeah.
take you to
Yeah, it takes you to the city website, and then you can
Register.
download the,
okay.
Yeah, it'll take you to this Legistar page and then this link here will
that's
download
awesome.
the document for you. Yeah.
Yep.
So the plan for the plan, I guess.
So meta.
Yeah, yeah. I I think the idea, yeah, of having working groups come up with a couple goals, especially since we're at this time in the year, we know this is, this is good for until December 31st, but we want to get this quickly. I do think we want to restructure working groups. I think that's a big part of our planning meeting, right? Is kind of talking
Sure.
about how those working groups are structured and if it is still working and if we need to think about consolidation or,
Mhm.
addition, subtraction, whatever. So I don't know how people feel about using May as that planning meeting, or since we do have this document now, which we were, kind of unaware of prior to this meeting, that we take a look at this, we have a couple goals in our working groups, and then we move from there. Okay.
Commissioner Grier?
Yeah, I think it would be very convenient to consolidate some of the working groups, but I thought that there was actually a rule about how many commissioners were allowed to meet together in a room without it being a secret cabal or something. I forget what.
Yeah, four for
we had
quorum, I guess.
4. So
Sorry.
4 isn't a very big number, but I guess we have to limit it to 4 people, right?
If it's 4 commissioners, you can have community members join and it can be larger, but no more than 4 official commission members. Yeah. As far as the folks on this call know, is the business owners and developers work group still active?
Is
That was
that,
a
is
question.
that John?
I think
John.
John has always been on, he's
We
been
should have asked him.
the,
Yeah.
the solo person on that group. And I believe that's because he was attending the design review board, which he updated us on a few months ago that potentially that group was no longer in existence. And I'm not sure if,
Hmm.
right? I don't know if they have dissolved or if they are still active and meeting.
I was under the impression they had in fact dissolved, but I could be mistaken.
I can
Okay,
confirm
that's a
that.
good question to John. Yeah, so would it be helpful if I took this document, made it into a Google Drive document, like an independent one, and then sent it to each commissioner, kind of highlighting who is presently on the group, and then we request that everybody meet either over Zoom, phone call, or in person before the May 5th or May meeting, with their recommendations. So we come to the meeting with this document ready to approve.
It sounds
Discussion
an
and then
excellent
approve.
idea.
Yeah. That's great.
That sounds great.
Okay.
And then Chair Thiepels, do you want to kind of coordinate who would write kind of the overview and the opening section into that as well?
I can take a stab at it.
Okay, perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And I can support Mary in what
Great.
you.
Okay.
Is the language
Sounds like a
up to
plan.
date? Just are the dates correct, 24 to 25, or does that need to read different? Are there the very top there, is it the right years, 24 to 25?
Well,
Or is it now?
If
I think
this
it
is
would be
the
20.
plan, it would just be 2025, right? If the plan is the calendar year, or sorry,
Exactly.
the
I have
plan
that
is the
right.
calendar year,
Okay, so it just needs
report
to
is
say
the fiscal year.
just
Yeah.
needs to say 2025 on it then. Okay, good.
All right, sounds like a plan for the plan. All right, so next on our agenda is,
Sorry, if it's going to change things, it should probably change who the chair and vice chair are as well.
Yes.
yes, yep. All right, anything else on the
Plan.
plan and goals?
Just that we need some.
All right. So next up is a report from staff. I did have it on in my notes to update you all on the Fire Station 4. So yeah, Chief Kennedy mentioned that they consulted with the city attorney's office. And so after that, they decided to contract with the Ann Arbor Art Center to help manage the public art process for the new Fire Station 4. Just due to the complexity of the project and allow for a single point of contact. And then the Ann Arbor Art Center experience with handling of similar projects. And then I already mentioned we'll be filling the public services officer manager position. So that'll be backfilling Vanita's position, and the role will serve as the new liaison to the Art Commission. I don't have a timeline for that, but probably sometime in the next month or two. And then my last update was there's a new city flag for sale. The new city flag is now outside of the city buildings, and folks can fly the new flag in 2 sizes. There's a parade size and a 4x6 flag for $65 in the clerk's office. And that is all the updates I had from staff.
How are Ann Arbor citizens notified about that? Do you know? That it's available and where they can purchase it?
That came out in the city administrator's report. And so I suppose folks would have to be signed up to receive that. I'm sure it's made of that information is available in other places. I'll ask the clerk's office how they've publicized that and get back to you on where else they've reached out.
Since we have a small publicity budget, shouldn't there be an advert by the city, even if it's not either from us or by the city in the Ann Arbor Observer saying, hey, get your flag?
Yeah, it might have been. I'll check and get back to you.
Or a reminder if you had it once, because, you know, you blink and you missed it.
Yep. And next up on the agenda is report from committees. Are there any reports from committees?
I think the CIP was the big one,
course.
getting
Yep.
getting so yeah, we'll update that language and get it to council.
We've been very behind, but we're about to, well, partly because of Venita, obviously, but we wanted to get the golden paintbrush actually up and running again. And I'm going to be talking to the person on the city who helps us with that and can get it up on the website. So perhaps I can talk to, I don't know, I guess our chair and vice chair about when we should have the dates for people to send in their nominations that would work for us, and then talk about how we get some judges to judge the entries.
Are we on schedule for that right now, Sophie? Like last
No,
year?
we're not. We're a couple of months behind what we would have been.
Okay.
But it's not that critical when the date is. I mean, we were going to have the date, you know, closing applications by the end of May, but there's no reason why we shouldn't have them by the end of July. Honestly, it doesn't make a
Yeah.
huge difference. So, yeah, so I think it would be nice to make sure it is still rolling on, because it's in alternate years, and I'd like to keep it from
Yeah.
drifting into the even year.
And can you remind me what committee that falls under?
We have that under the special projects work group.
Okay, thank you. Any other work group updates?
Not I.
Okay, great. We do have CTN just was able to join. So I'm going to go ahead and invite a public comment. Let's see. To speak at public comment, please call 888-788-0099 and enter meeting ID 981-8900-7959. To speak at public comment, please follow the instructions to raise your hand to indicate that you would like to speak. We allow 3 minutes per speaker. Note, we do not respond in the moment to speakers, but we appreciate you taking the time to share your thoughts with us. And with that, I don't see any callers. Okay, anything else for the good of the order?
Oh, I have a question.
Yeah.
Do we quite often do have well, not public speakers, we quite often have invited speakers, and I'm not clear how that process works. Do people just apply and ask us, or do we have one of the committees reach out, or how does it work? Can anyone explain that to me?
I think that people reach out to us and we reach out to them. So it is a two-way street. And I think, the more the merrier, frankly.
Do we have anyone sort of lined up for the next meeting, or especially since they didn't know it was going to happen?
I was hoping to introduce Anna Gersh to the Public Art Commission. She's the interim director for Creative Washtenaw. I think they will be voting on her position really soon. So if she does in fact become the director, I will invite her to come and meet the commission at the May meeting. And my understanding is that I would just get her on the agenda ahead of time if possible. Is that right, Erin? That's what I've done with Vanita in the past. So I think that's the process. If we know of someone to get their name on the agenda if possible.
I think we'd love another update from Parks and the projects that they've been working on. 'Cause I know they had several in the queue, so it would be great to
Yeah.
what's going on and hear from them, even if it's brief.
Yeah, maybe that's something I could invite if I am able to get contacts from you, Erin. Potentially I could send an invitation to Parks for May.
Yeah, if it would be helpful, I can add an agenda item for subsequent agendas. Just an items for next agenda. If folks have ideas about speakers to reach out to. Yeah, I would say it's other commissions that I've worked with. It's gone both ways. So sometimes the commission's reaching out to bring in speakers for informational purposes, and sometimes it's people reaching out to the commissions to come speak on the subject. So I can go ahead and add that. So we just have that every time if folks have ideas.
Yeah, it might be nice to hear from the DDA and the Art Center, over the course of the next couple months as we just continue to build strengthen our partnerships across Ann Arbor and Washtenaw County. Marianetta, we had talked about linking up with the Ypsilanti Public Art Commission. Maybe that's something we could, re-energize.
That would be great. Do we have any conversations with the Ann Arbor Public Library?
We
We
did
could
that.
have more. We could absolutely have more. Yeah. Yeah. I have some contacts at the library and have done some projects.
I do
with
as
them.
well, so.
Okay. That's a great idea. Yeah, because they're taking on more and more creative projects. Yeah, that's a great idea.
It'd be nice. I think they've got a project that a nationwide project that they've been tapped for. And it'd be nice to maybe have them speak with us about any upcoming projects or projects that are underway that have kind of a public art
I
flavor.
love that. Yeah. Maybe even, I don't know who the big contacts at the University of Michigan are with their arts initiatives, but that could be another great invite, whether it's through the art museum or even through, yeah, if folks on the commission here have any connections with U of M in that regard, stamps.
Yep.
Anything else? Okay, it
So
looks like
it-
oh, go ahead.
Mhm. Well, in the past, does anyone have any announcements, any art goings on, anything we should be aware of? Any updates on social media, Public Art Commission social media?
I don't have any updates, but I'd just like to put out a thought for people to chew on. With everything that's happening in our world today, with so much censorship,
Mhm,
art
mhm,
is likely to take a big hit.
mhm,
And I'd like at some point for the commission to have a conversation about
mm,
this.
mm,
I don't know if the city has, I know the university, of course, is now kind of shifting their narratives and restructuring classes. I don't know if the city has any kind of response to what's been happening, but I think as artists and as a commission, at least we should have some conversations. Say, for
Mm.
instance, someone wants to do a project about diversity. Can we support that now?
mhm,
I
mhm,
think we're in the crosshairs, and it's well worth a conversation
mhm,
among
mhm.
us about how we move forward.
Yeah, because there's supposed to be a project to do a Black Lives Matter mural on the street that has been supposed to for like 3 years now. And that seems like drawing a battle line at this point where it should just be kind of normal. So I don't know what's happening about that.
And I don't know where do we get direction on how to respond to something like that, you know? People, artists
okay.
and businesses coming to the Arts Council for advice about projects. We should have some language that doesn't put us in legal jeopardy, but also
Hmm.
so to start to think about that notion, I think
Yeah,
is really important.
Yeah. Yeah, I
I
mean,
agree.
Americans for the Arts has been addressing this question as well. So you might have a look at what they've been saying.
Is the city of Ann Arbor have a stance that we need to comply to in terms of DEI and how that, I mean, are there conversations happening on a city level? And is that we represent the city, so we have to kind of fall in line?
It might be nice for us to have a conversation with Creative Washington and Ann Arbor Arts Center to informally discuss at least what we think
Mhm.
we'd
Yeah,
like to be
good.
doing, what we'd like to happen, how we'd like to
Good.
respond, how we'd like the city to respond, rather than waiting for the city to tell us how
Yeah,
us to
good.
respond.
Let's advise the city. Yes, I like that. Well, um, I would assume we are well within our First Amendment rights to express ourselves freely and creatively.
Don't assume anything, but let's go for it.
We had this is just a comment, side comment, but we had a grant with the NEA that was rejected, if you will, because all the NEA art now has to speak to the 250th anniversary of the country. So we've been invited to reapply if our project highlights the United States' history. So that's definitely one way that funding is affecting our region.
When they say history, they don't really mean history, though, do they?
Right.
And there are many ways to look at history. There is actually Handcraft in America 2026 put on by PBS, which is telling the story of America through craft. And that is something that in my day job, we're a part of, and that's actually been a really great community planning different events, PBS specials that will be telling the story of America again through different crafts. So it's voices that haven't been heard in terms of the history of craft in America, and so that's a great project.
But you can
It
share
is, yeah.
50th.
in an email with us so we can find that or.
Yes,
discover
I will
more.
send the link to the website. It's a great effort.
Erin, you mentioned that we are allowed to meet in person. Does that mean in council chambers, or what was the comment earlier? Or we have to meet over Zoom?
Yeah, it's flexible, whatever works best for the commission. If you want to hold um, in-person meetings, there's nothing saying you can't. If you wanted to hold a planning meeting in person or have a couple meetings a year in person or whatever,
Yeah.
that's totally
I think there was an
acceptable.
issue about whether our slot on Wednesday would be available in the council chamber, but perhaps we could start there discovering if it is. I mean,
I see. Yeah. It doesn't need to be in council chambers. It can be in City Hall in a different meeting room as well.
Yeah, there's
would
a
work.
lot of rooms.
Yeah.
Great. I'm hearing that from commissioners that meeting in person from time to time would be valuable. That's what I'm hearing.
I agree.
All right. Anything else?
Motion to adjourn?
Yeah, so our
Anything?
next meeting, I just looked, will be May 7th, 2025 at 7 p.m. So yeah, motion to adjourn. And a second. Okay. Great. All right, it is 8:30. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much,
Meeting is
Erin.
adjourned.
Good to meet you. Appreciate
Yeah,
your
nice to
time
meet
and effort.
Thank you,
everybody.
Erin.
Okay.
Have a good evening. Bye.
You
Bye.
too.